I'm standing in the polished lobby of Cascadia Medical Center when I hear it, a name I haven't responded to in 29 years. Caitlin. The sound slices through the background noise, ringing phones, muted chatter, the squeak of orthopedic shoes across polished tile. My chest tightens, as though wrapped in invisible wire. My hands begin to shake. The visitor badge clipped to my blazer suddenly feels unbearably heavy. Caitlin Gray. The voice calls again. Louder this time, expecting acknowledgement. Heads turn. Curious eyes find me as a tall man with silver-streaked hair crosses the lobby. A petite blonde woman follows close. Behind their faces, older now, are the same ones that have haunted my nightmares for decades. Across the room, I hear a familiar voice. Arabella, over here. My son waves from the reception desk, still in his blue surgical scrubs, completely unaware that my carefully built world is cracking open. 2 names. 1 person. I'm Arabella Beaumont now, and have been for nearly 28 years, but the sound of Caitlin pulls me backward in time. Suddenly, I'm 17 again, standing in our apartment doorway, holding a positive pregnancy test in trembling hands. I see my father's face twist in anger. You have until morning to pack, he'd said, voice cold and flat. Take what you can carry. My mother had stood behind him, silent, tears streaming down her face, offering no defense. The next morning, they drove me to the bus station. They gave me exactly $219, every dollar I'd saved from my summer job at the mall. Martin, perhaps we should approach this more gently, my mother murmurs now, clutching my father's arm, but her eyes are sharp, scanning the lobby, measuring reactions. They've rehearsed this moment, planned this ambush. Caitlin, it's been too long. My father extends his hand, as if we'd last parted after a pleasant family dinner, not the night he threw out his pregnant teenage daughter to survive alone. You look wonderful, he adds. I fight the pull of old memories. That first night on a park bench, too scared to close my eyes. The cardboard sign I'd made, pregnant. Please help. The cold rain soaking through my only jacket. Then, Agatha Beaumont. The elegant woman in her 60s who found me there and offered more than a meal. She gave me a home, her 6-bedroom. Craftsman house already had a nursery. She told me over tea the next morning. Everyone deserves a second chance. The memories twist inside. Me like coiled wire, my fingers brush against the antique watch on my wrist, Agatha's watch. Its steady ticking pulling me back to now 29 years of silence. Why now? The answer forms before I can finish the thought. 3 weeks ago, the Seattle Times ran a feature on Everest, the brilliant young cardiothoracic resident who saved a newborn's life. The article mentioned the Agatha Beaumont Foundation, connecting my son to the boutique hotel and bakery empire that made me wealthy after Agatha's passing. And now, here they are. My father steps forward, arms slightly open, as if for an embrace. I step back, lift my chin, and find my voice. My name is Arabella. My mother laughs, a brittle sound, like cracking glass. Don't be ridiculous. You'll always be our Caitlin. 2 nurses behind the desk glance at each other, whispering. An audience has gathered. My father notices too. His smile widens, performative now. We've waited so long for this moment, he says, voice raised for the room to hear. When we read about our grandson's surgical success, we knew it was time to reconnect with our family. The phrasing hits me instantly. Our grandson. Our family, a calculated move, claiming ownership, bloodlines. As strategy, classic Gray family tactics appear, reasonable while taking what was never theirs. My head spins, the hotel, magnate's daughter and the disgraced teen mother coexist within me, neither entirely real, across the lobby. Everest waves again, confused by my delay. He looks so much like me. Agatha used to say he had my determination in his eyes. We know we made mistakes, my mother says softly. But surely after all this time, we can leave the past behind. Her voice is tender, but the details betray her. The designer handbag, the diamond earrings flashing under fluorescent lights. Martin wears a sleek, expensive watch, nothing like the cheap one he wore the morning he left me at the bus station, with orders never to return. Whatever they want from this reunion feels deliberate, calculated, practiced, intentional. The past? I managed to say, my voice sharper than I expect. The past was watching you drive away while I stood at a bus station with nowhere to go. Martin's smile tightens. We were young. Parents facing a difficult situation, he begins. You were 41, I correct him. Mom was 38. At the reception desk, a nurse in scrubs glances up, clearly uneasy about witnessing this exchange. My mother notices and lowers her tone, leaning closer. Darling, we've changed. We've regretted that moment every single day since. 29 years of silence suggest otherwise. I twist Agatha's watch around my wrist. Once, twice, the way she taught me to steady myself in tense moments. I'm the CEO of Bluefinch Bakery. I serve on 3 charitable boards. I raised a son who saves lives with his hands. I'm not that scared teenager anymore. Across the lobby, Everest senses something's wrong. He excuses himself from his colleague and walks toward us, his steps calm but protective. The son I raised alone. The boy Agatha helped me guide into the man he is now. Is everything okay here? Everest asks, stepping beside me, creating a quiet but firm barrier between me and the 2 strangers claiming to be my parents. In his eyes, I see a question. Do we make a scene in the hospital where he works, or do we retreat on our own terms? Agatha's voice echoes in my mind. Never fight a battle without choosing the battlefield. Martin studies Everest, tall, confident, composed. His expression shifts. You must be our grandson, he says, extending his hand. We've waited so long to meet you. Everest doesn't take it. Instead, he rests an arm around my shoulders. I'm Dr. Beaumont, he says, emphasizing our shared name. This is my mother, Arabella Beaumont. Something inside me strengthens at my son's touch. The foundation Agatha built for us, piece by piece. The legal name change when I was 18. The adult adoption at 20. The life we created, far from their chaos. We should go, I tell Everest, my voice steadier than I feel. We have dinner reservations. Caitlin, my father calls as we walk away. We're staying at the Olympic. We'd like to meet properly as a family. I pause, turning back once more. You gave up the right to call me anything 29 years ago. Nolan Pierce's office smells faintly of sandalwood and leather, a scent that feels like stability in a world that's suddenly shifting. 3 days have passed since my parents appeared in the hospital lobby, yet their voices still echo in my mind like a broken record. Caitlin Gray. The name feels foreign now, like an identity I returned long ago. I found these in Agatha's safety deposit box, Nolan says, sliding a manila folder across his desk. Sunlight filters through the blinds, catching the silver in his hair. She was thorough. Kept every document. Inside. Our yellowed court papers from 1996. My hands tremble as I read, each line revealing a truth I never fully grasped. A temporary guardianship granted to Agatha. Beaumont. A no-contact order against Martin and Jocelyn. Gray. The legal framework of my rescue, carefully built while I was still. Learning to balance a baby on one arm and survival on the other. There's more. Nolan adds, handing over another stack. Your legal name change in 1998. The adult adoption from 2000. Agatha made sure everything was airtight. Trace my fingers over her signature. The familiar, graceful curve of her initials. Proof of how completely she secured my second chance. All these years, I believed she helped me out of pure kindness. A wealthy woman with a generous heart toward a frightened, pregnant teenager. Now I recognize the strength hidden beneath her gentle surface. She hadn't merely saved me. She had fortified me against a danger she knew would one day return. Why would they reach out now after 29 years? I ask, though the answer comes before Nolan can reply. He taps the business section of the Seattle Times lying open on his desk. The headline reads, Gray and Fox Holdings under SEC investigation. Beneath it, a smaller piece highlights Everest's groundbreaking surgery, mentioning his association with the Agatha Beaumont Foundation and Bluefinch Bakery empire. The timing is no coincidence. Your parents' company is in serious trouble, Nolan says, and your son has just been publicly linked to a clean, profitable business network. My stomach tightens as the reality forms around me. They waited until Agatha passed to make their move. Nolan nods and slides a new document across his desk. The ink is fresh, the paper crisp, a contract between Martin Gray and Tyler Quinn, Everest's biological father. I haven't heard Tyler's name since that day outside the mall food court. When he denied my pregnancy, the contract outlines an 8% success fee for a family reunion campaign. The room tilts slightly. They're working with Tyler? I whisper. Your ex-boyfriend filed for bankruptcy last month, Nolan explains. He seems to think Everest, the son he never claimed, could be his way out. I close my eyes, running a thumb over Agatha's old watch on my wrist. All those years she insisted I sign legal papers, document every decision, and prepare contingency plans for the bakery. It wasn't paranoia or business sense. It was protection. They don't want reconciliation, I say quietly. They want what Agatha built. I'm afraid it's even worse, Nolan replies, handing me a financial journal. Gray and Fox Holdings aren't just under investigation. They're facing potential criminal charges. Your father needs more than cash. He needs a reputation cleanse, a heartwarming family reunion, and connection to a respected surgeon would serve him well. The memory of my father's polished smile in the hospital lobby takes on new weight, not just calculated, but desperate. My mother's tears perfectly timed for sympathy. They're drowning, and I'm their life raft. Do they really think I'll welcome them back just because they used my old name? My voice sounds stronger than I feel. They're desperate, not delusional, Nolan says flatly. They've hired a crisis management firm and are crafting a story about family unity that plays well in business circles. Family stands together in hard times. We can help each other. He quotes the line with visible distaste. And Tyler? What's his motive besides money? Bankruptcy fraud investigation, Nolan replies. He's seeking protection by aligning himself with your family. Your parents found the perfect desperate partner. The scope of betrayal deepens. Not just my parents' sudden reappearance, but a coordinated effort to dismantle everything Agatha helped me build. Their use of media pressure proves they'll stop at nothing. Nolan turns his screen toward me, showing a press inquiry about a heartwarming family reunion that arrived at the foundation office earlier today. I stand and move to the window, watching Seattle's skyline blur through the sting of tears. All these years, I thought Agatha saved me because she was kind. I never realized she was also preparing for battle. She was both, Nolan says gently. Kind and strategic. She loved you, Arabella, and she knew exactly who she was protecting you from. The door opens. Everest steps in, his scrubs replaced with a pressed shirt, dark circles beneath his eyes hinting at a long hospital shift. He studies the documents on the desk, his expression tightening as he processes their meaning. She knew they might return, Nolan continues, moving to a large bookcase. He pulls out a thick binder labeled Gray Contingencies in Agatha's precise handwriting. She prepared for this exact scenario. The timing lines up with my Times feature, Everest notes, scanning the articles. They've been tracking my career. The realization hits hard. While I celebrated my son's achievements, they were quietly calculating his value to their collapsing empire. My grandmother protected you then, Everest says, resting a steady hand on my shoulder. Now we'll protect what she built. Nolan opens the binder inside, organized sections of legal documents, financial records, media statements, and witness affidavits. 29 years of meticulous preparation, waiting for this moment. We're not entering this fight unprepared, Nolan assures. Agatha made sure of that. I glance between him and Everest, feeling something fundamental shift inside. Me, the terrified girl who once stepped off a bus with nothing is gone. In her place stands the woman Agatha always believed I could become, one who refuses to be erased. Then let's use her plan, I say, opening the binder. Show me everything. The next day, I stare at the manila folder spread across Nolan's walnut desk. The papers, though aged and yellowed, feel like live ammunition. Each page represents another layer of protection Agatha built around us, around me, while I was busy learning to be a mother. She documented everything, Nolan says, adjusting his silver-rimmed glasses as sunlight glints off the lenses. He slides another paper toward me. Agatha hired a private investigator every time the Grays tried to make contact. My hands tremble slightly as I lift a report dated 1998, a year after Everest was born. The investigators' neat handwriting records Martin and Jocelyn Gray parked outside the first Blue Finch location, watching, not approaching. Just observing, like predators quietly studying their prey. There are 11 recorded violations of the no-contact order. Nolan continues, his tone carrying the quiet satisfaction of a man who knows he's just played the perfect move. Each violation carefully logged, photographed, and notarized. I really won, he says softly. I scan the papers, my pulse pounding. She never told me they'd tried to reach out. She wanted to protect you from exactly this, Nolan adds, tapping a legal document stamped with an embossed seal. This adult adoption is ironclad. They hold no legal rights to you or to Everest. The realization ripples through me. For years, I thought Agatha's insistence on documentation was simply her business instinct. Now I see it for what it was. Armor she built for me, piece by piece. Mom? Everest stands in the doorway, still in his hospital scrubs even though his shift ended hours ago. His face carries the same focused intensity he brings to the operating room. The hospital administrator forwarded me an email, he says, raising his phone. Tyler Quinn reached out about a family reconciliation story they want to pitch to Seattle Life magazine. My stomach tightens. Tyler, a name I haven't spoken in 28 years. Everest's biological father, who vanished before his son ever took a breath. They're coordinating, I say slowly, the pieces locking together with awful precision. This wasn't a coincidence at the hospital. They've been tracking your career, Everest nods, his jaw tightening as his eyes move over the documents on Nolan's desk. I gather the reports, feeling something new crystallize inside me, not fear, something sharper. In my hands is proof that my parents' sudden reappearance isn't about reconciliation or regret. It's a strategy, as deliberate as the night they drove me to the bus station with my life stuffed into a duffel bag. I want to meet them, I say, surprising myself with how steady my voice sounds. Nolan and Everest exchange wary glances. Are you sure that's wise? Nolan asks. I tap the folder. I'm not walking in unarmed this time. 2 days later, the cafeteria at Cascadia Medical Center hums with the routine rhythm of hospital life. Doctors grab coffee between rounds. Visitors escape the beeping of monitors over quiet lunches. It's public enough to stay safe, private enough for what I need to say. I've dressed with strategic precision, the way Agatha would have. A tailored navy suit that carries the authority of the CEO I've become, not the frightened teenager they abandoned. Agatha's watch glints on my wrist, its weight steadying. They arrive 5 minutes early. Of course, a calculated gesture. Martin's silver-streaked hair is neatly trimmed. His charcoal suit is understated, but expensive. Jocelyn wears a cream dress that softens her demeanor, pearl earrings catching the fluorescent light. Together, they project the image of concerned grandparents seeking reconciliation. The sight makes my stomach tighten. Caitlin, Martin begins. Extending his hand, Arabella, I correct him, not taking it. My legal name for 28 years. His smile doesn't falter, but something flickers in his eyes. Of course. Old habits. I don't invite them to sit. Instead, I place Agatha's folder on the table between us. I found her files about you, I say. Opening to a surveillance photo, dated 1998. All the times you tried to contact us, when it benefited you. Martin's expression hardens. Jocelyn's gaze darts around the cafeteria, uneasy under curious eyes. Perhaps we should talk somewhere more private, she suggests, voice sweet with false concern. I prefer witnesses, I reply, flipping another page, like when you appeared at Blue Finch's grand opening in 2005, or when you sent that letter to Everest's high school after his award made the paper. Martin shifts, confidence slipping. Those were different times. We were just trying to... Or when you hired a private investigator to check Agatha's finances in 2010, I interrupt, revealing another document. All of these violate the no-contact order you signed. Jocelyn's composure cracks. Those were desperate times. We've changed. Everyone deserves a second chance. The irony burns. She's using Agatha's own words, the ones that saved my life the night they threw me away. You sold your rights for money, I say, sliding the court document forward, both their signatures clear. I have the record of Tyler Quinn's payment, 8% of his projected inheritance, in exchange for disappearing from our lives. Martin's face reddens. That's exactly what happened, I cut in, my voice firm enough for nearby tables to hear. You measured my worth and found me lacking. Now you've measured Everest's and found him worth claiming. A few doctors glance over. Everest's colleagues? Witnesses to his meteoric rise. Their expressions shift from curiosity to quiet discomfort as they recognize me. We only want what's best for our grandson, Martin says, voice low but resolute, for our family. The word family in his mouth feels like a violation. I straighten, steady and sure, recalling every boardroom where I refuse to be intimidated by men in expensive suits. You're not my family, I say clearly. You gave up that right 29 years ago. Agatha Beaumont became my mother the night she found me sleeping on a park bench after you drove away. Her name is on my adoption papers. Her name is on my son's birth certificate, and she made sure you could never take that from us. Jocelyn reaches toward me, her manicured fingers trembling slightly. Darling, we were wrong. We've lived with that mistake every day. Yet you never tried to make amends, I reply. Not until my son became valuable to you, or until the Agatha Beaumont Foundation was featured in the Times. A tall woman in a tailored suit approaches our table. It's Dr. Lancaster, the hospital administrator. Her expression is politely concerned as she looks between us. Is everything all right, Mrs. Beaumont? She asks, carefully emphasizing my chosen name. Before Martin can speak, I answer calmly, Yes, thank you. These people were just leaving. Something flickers across Martin's face, the same expression he wore the night he told me I had until morning to pack my things. But this time I don't flinch. This isn't over, he says quietly. Actually, it is, I reply. The adult adoption papers Agatha filed give me complete legal protection from any claim you might attempt. My attorney is preparing a cease and desist order as we speak. Dr. Lancaster's presence has drawn the attention of nearby staff. Martin and Jocelyn sense the shift, the witnesses forming a quiet wall of support around me. We'll be in touch, Martin says, struggling to maintain his composure as they rise to leave. No, I say simply. You won't. I watch them go, their carefully built facade beginning to crumble under the weight of exposed truth. My hands are steady now. For the first time since hearing them call my old name across the lobby, I feel composed. My phone buzzes, a text from Nolan. Judge Wilson approved the temporary restraining order. It's being served tomorrow. Almost immediately, another text arrives from Everest. Finished rounds early. Want me to come down? Before I can answer, Dr. Lancaster places a gentle hand on my shoulder. Everest is one of our finest, she says. His character speaks volumes about his upbringing. Whatever those people wanted, they clearly don't deserve to be part of what you've built. Her simple validation nearly breaks the composure I've worked to maintain. I nod in appreciation. More staff approach. Doctors who've worked with Everest, nurses who've seen his dedication. Each offers a quiet word of support or a brief nod of understanding. The community I never expected stands with me. When I finally sit alone again, my phone rings. Nolan's voice is triumphant. The adult adoption records are ironclad, he says without preamble. I've filed preemptive paperwork with family court. They won't get within legal distance of either of you. Thank you, I say. But my fingers pause on something else inside the folder, a handwritten note on Agatha's personal stationery. The sight of her elegant handwriting tightens my throat. What is it? Nolan asks, hearing my silence. A letter from Agatha, I say softly. Hidden among the legal documents. I unfold the paper and read words that bring her voice back with startling clarity. Blood makes relatives, but love makes family. Remember that when they inevitably return. You are my daughter in all the ways that matter, Arabella. Never doubt your right to the name you chose and the life you've built. By the time Everest finds me, I've regained my composure. He sits across from me, scanning my face for signs of distress. Are you okay? He asks. I close the folder, the record of 3 decades of protection I never knew existed. I am, I reply, surprised by the truth of it. Your grandmother made sure of that. Everest smiles. The same quiet strength that once lived in Agatha's eyes. Mom, you stood your ground, just like grandmother taught you. As we walk through the hospital corridors together, I feel lighter than I have in days. This was only one battle in what may be a longer war. But now I know I'm not fighting alone. I have Agatha's foresight, Everest's unwavering support, and Nolan's sharp legal strategy behind me. If I could achieve this much with only days of preparation, I wonder what might be possible with real planning. For the first time since hearing my old name echo through the lobby, I allow myself to feel something beyond anger or fear. Hope. Nolan's conference room has become our command center. Legal documents cover the polished oak table like organized battle plans. The morning sun filters through the blinds, casting neat stripes across the paperwork. Court records, financial statements, newspaper clippings, and photographs. 1 week since the hospital confrontation, I've replaced emotion with focus. My movements are deliberate. My thoughts sharp. My fingers trace the edge of a manila folder containing the no-contact order my parents violated repeatedly over 29 years. Their SEC investigation could be our strongest leverage, Nolan says, tapping a Business Journal article. His silver-rimmed glasses reflect the headline, Gray and Fox Holdings Faces Federal Scrutiny. I nod, mentally cataloging their vulnerabilities. What legal challenges could they raise? I ask. 3 possibilities, Nolan replies, sliding a yellow legal pad forward. They might claim Agatha used undue influence during your adult adoption. They could challenge the legitimacy of your name change. Or, most dangerously, they might attempt to establish a biological claim to Everest. My stomach tightens at that last one. I twist Agatha's watch one full turn, then another. How do we control the media narrative they're building? I ask. Through strategic information release, Nolan answers. We have Agatha's documentation showing how they tried to contact you only when your achievements made the news. Every attempt coincided with their financial difficulties. I pick up a faded newspaper clipping from 2008, my first bakery opening, quietly featured in the business section. The week after it ran, Martin left 3 messages at Bluefinch. Agatha, as always, documented every detail. She never acted without planning 3 steps ahead. I trace my fingers over her familiar handwriting in the margins of a legal brief. I need to think like she would. The conference room door opens. Everest walks in, still wearing his hospital scrubs. They're making rounds, he says flatly. Dr. Winters mentioned Martin asked specific questions about my surgical fellowship application. I add this to our growing threat assessment. Any other contact? I ask. They approached Dr. Matheson in the cafeteria, he replies. He shut them down immediately. Everest sets his phone on the table. I've logged everyone they've tried to reach. Nolan nods. Good, another record of their continued interference. I study our growing collection of data points with the same analytical focus I use in quarterly business reviews. This isn't personal anymore. It's a hostile takeover that must be contained. Emotion clouds, judgment. Agatha taught me that. The Bluefinch managers said the Grays stopped by the downtown store yesterday, I tell them. They asked about our expansion plans, tried to pull financial details from the assistant manager. Get statements from your staff, Nolan notes. The rest of the afternoon passes in calculated preparation. We map vulnerabilities, identify allies, and anticipate countermeasures. My thoughts fall into the steady rhythm of strategy, the same mindset that helped Agatha expand one small bakery into a regional brand. At 6, Nolan's assistant knocks and enters with a manila envelope. This just came by courier. Mr. Pierce. Nolan opens it, scans the contents, and his expression hardens. A quiet dread builds in my chest. What is it? I ask, already bracing. They've filed a petition to invalidate your adult adoption, he says, passing me the document. It's based on Stevenson versus Linder, 2012. My fingers tremble slightly as I skim the dense legal text. I've never heard of that case. Few have, Nolan replies, removing his glasses. It's an obscure Montana precedent about mental capacity in adoptive parents. They're claiming Agatha wasn't competent when she adopted you. The words hit hard, not just against me, but against Agatha's mind, her judgment, the sharpest business intellect I've ever known. They've hired Howard Levinson, Nolan adds, pointing to the signature. He specializes in contesting adult adoptions. The floor feels unsteady. They're not just desperate, they're skilled. Everest lays a steady hand on my shoulder. They're attacking the foundation of your identity. No, I correct him quietly, finding my voice. They're attacking Agatha's judgment, her legacy. I straighten the documents on the table, aligning the edges until they're perfectly even. The trembling stops. Focus replaces shock. They think we're unprepared, I say evenly. They don't realize Agatha planned for this. Nolan nods, reaching for a sealed envelope in his safe. She left specific instructions for this exact scenario. I remember Agatha on her deathbed 2 years ago, her hand gripping mine. Remember what I taught you about chess? Arabella. The best defense is prepared before the attack begins. I tightened my hold on her antique watch, drawing steadiness from its rhythm. They've underestimated how completely Agatha prepared us. I returned to the documents, mind sharpening with new clarity. This isn't just about protecting my identity, it's about preserving everything Agatha built and entrusted to me. The battle lines are clear, the strategy set. And unlike that frightened 17-year-old abandoned at a bus station, I'm not facing this fight alone. The conference room at Nolan's firm has become our war room, maps of strategy, polished mahogany tables covered in financial records, sworn affidavits, and character statements. For 3 weeks, we've moved methodically through every part of our defense, preparing for whatever the Greys attempt next. They've filed a motion questioning Agatha's competency during your adoption, Nolan says, sliding another document toward me. His silver hair catches the late sunlight. It won't hold, but it shows their intent to undermine the foundation of everything. I twist Agatha's watch once, fingers brushing the worn silver links, the tiny scratches that mark a lifetime. And our response? I ask. Countersuit for harassment and emotional distress, Nolan says, tapping a thicker folder. I've logged 17 incidents of attempted contact, each violating the no-contact order. Agatha's documentation makes our case solid. Everest enters again, exhaustion visible after a 12-hour shift. He drops a leather portfolio on the table. I've gathered statements from every physician I've worked with since residency. 23 doctors supporting both my integrity and yours. Mom, the Bluefinch financials are ready, I add, gesturing to the spreadsheets I've compiled. Every quarterly report since Agatha passed control. Profits, growth timelines, retention rates, all proof of stable leadership. This isn't a quick confrontation. We're not fighting for a momentary win. We're securing permanent protection. We're preparing for the final confrontation, Nolan says, scanning the files. This isn't another skirmish. My phone buzzes. A message from Marina, my downtown assistant manager. My chest tightens as I read. They approached my staff. The Greys visited 3 locations yesterday, I say, my voice tight. Offering cash for details about working conditions. Everest's expression darkens. They're going after your business now. I press my fingertips to the cool surface of the table, grounding myself against the rising sense of violation. It's no longer just about my identity or my past. They're threatening the livelihoods of people who depend on me. I have 42 employees across 5 locations, I say softly, picturing faces and families, people with rent, student loans, childcare. If they turn my staff, they won't. Nolan cuts in firmly. Your employees are loyal, but we need to widen our approach beyond personal defense. Everest paces the room, tension in his shoulders. They're more thorough than we thought. I found out they've contacted 4 Beaumont hotel suppliers, asking about contracts that date back to when Agatha still managed operations. The air feels heavier. I twist Agatha's watch again, 2 full rotations this time. Do I tell the staff about our family history? The question escapes before I can stop it. Would that just add more pressure? Would it make them feel like they need to choose sides? Nolan pauses, thinking carefully. That's your decision, Arabella, he says evenly. But remember what Agatha always said about transparency during a crisis. Trust builds allies. Secrets build weaknesses. Another lesson from the woman who saved me. We've set everything in motion, Everest adds after a moment. The legal filings, professional testimonials, financial records, all of it leads to the Agatha Beaumont Foundation Gala next month. I nod, understanding exactly what that means. 500 guests. Full media coverage, the perfect stage, one where the Greys would finally lose their advantage. We're as ready as possible, Nolan confirms, neatly stacking papers into folders. The gala is our chance to end this permanently. There's a quiet sense of completion in his voice. Every legal path explored, every witness ready, every document organized. The frightened woman who once froze at the sound of Caitlin's name in a hospital lobby has been replaced by someone who plans 3 steps ahead, anticipating threats before they appear. Everest places his hand gently over mine, his surgeon's touch steady and reassuring. Your grandmother's plan is flawless. We have everything we need. I feel a steady strength rising beneath the surface of my fear. The Greys thought they were attacking a fragile woman caught off guard. Instead, they're about to face Agatha Beaumont's daughter, strategic, composed, and utterly unwilling to surrender what was built through love, not blood. My fingers brush the clasp of Agatha's watch, feeling its familiar weight. Then we're ready for whatever comes next. A week later, a notification flashes across my phone screen. I hesitate for a moment, thumb hovering over the local news alert. Grey family seeks reconciliation with estranged daughter and grandson. Something inside me stills. Not the frozen fear of the hospital lobby, but the calm before a storm. I tap the alert. The video opens to Martin and Jocelyn sitting on a cream sofa in what looks like a hotel suite, the Olympic, just as they'd mentioned. My father's silver hair is perfectly combed, his navy suit sharp and flawless. My mother's blonde curls frame her face softly, her pearl necklace catching the light as she dabs away non-existent tears. We simply want to know our grandson, Martin says with the same polished sincerity I remember from childhood. After seeing his incredible surgical achievement in the news, we realize life is too short to let small disagreements divide a family. Disagreements, I whisper to the empty room. Is that what we're calling abandonment now? The interviewer, a woman with kind eyes and a predatory smile, leans in. And your daughter? What would you say to her if she's watching? Jocelyn touches Martin's arm, her diamond bracelet glinting. Caitlin, sweetheart, she begins softly. We understand you might still feel hurt about the past. We were young parents facing an impossible situation. I let out a sharp laugh that echoes through the room. Young? You were 41, Dad. But family is family, Martin continues smoothly. We're not getting any younger. We just want to be part of your lives and to know our grandson. Is that too much to ask? The camera pans back, revealing a display of carefully chosen family photos, childhood snapshots meant to suggest happiness. There's even one of me at 16. Taken a year before I got pregnant, before everything changed. My phone vibrates. Nolan calling. Have you seen it? He asks immediately. I'm watching now. My voice sounds calm, but there's a cold edge beneath it. It's a calculated move, Nolan says. The timing is deliberate. One day before the Foundation Gala. The Agatha Beaumont Foundation Gala. 500 guests, full media coverage, the year's biggest fundraiser for young mothers in crisis. The very women I once was. They know exactly what they're doing, I reply, watching Jocelyn dab at her eyes again as the interviewer offers her a tissue with rehearsed empathy. They're positioning themselves as caring grandparents, Nolan continues, and you as the bitter daughter keeping her son from his family. Or the unstable woman who changed her name and turned her back on them, I finish quietly. As if on cue, the interviewer asks the question I expect. Some might wonder why your daughter changed her name. Was there more to the estrangement than youthful disagreements? Martin's expression tightens briefly before softening into practiced concern. Caitlin was always sensitive, impulsive. We believe she fell under the influence of her employer, Agatha Beaumont, a wealthy woman who, sadly, never had children of her own. The implication is clear and cruel. That Agatha manipulated a vulnerable girl and stole her from her loving parents. My grip on the phone tightens until my knuckles pale. They're not just targeting me now. They're tarnishing Agatha's memory. Call Everest. I tell Nolan, my voice low but firm. Tell him not to watch this at the hospital. I'll meet you at your office in 30 minutes. I hang up and force myself to finish the video. Every word they speak adds another layer to their carefully built lie. Concerned grandparents. Heartbroken parents. A family torn apart by misunderstanding. Not once do they mention leaving me with $219 and nowhere to go. Not once do they acknowledge 29 years of silence, except to frame it as my bitterness, my refusal to forgive. By the time I reach Nolan's office, I've missed 17 calls from reporters. Two donors have texted with concerns about the gala. The foundation's social pages are flooded with comments urging forgiveness from strangers who know nothing of the truth. Everest is already there. Pacing Nolan's conference room, his usual precision replaced by raw anger. They called me their miracle grandson, he spits. as if they didn't sign away their rights to either of us decades ago. Nolan stands at the head of the table, calm amid the chaos. We've prepared for this. Everything is ready. I take a steady breath, touching Agatha's watch on my wrist, one full rotation, then another. The movement grounds me, reminds me of what matters. Activate everything, I say. All right, I say quietly. Nolan gives a single nod, then picks up his phone. Within the hour, our counteroffensive begins, not with emotion or denial, but with evidence, clear, verifiable facts. A press release from Nolan's firm outlines the complete legal history, court records, the temporary guardianship, the no-contact order, all presented carefully and professionally, without attacking the Greys. It simply lays out the documented timeline. A statement from Everest follows, calm, dignified, and composed. I am proud to be Dr. Everest Beaumont, son of Arabella Beaumont. My chosen family has supported me through every stage of my education and career. I respectfully request privacy as I continue my work saving lives. Soon, testimonials from longtime Bluefinch Bakery employees appear across social media, stories celebrating Arabella's leadership and Agatha's legacy. The community we've built over decades begins to respond, not with outrage, but with steady, unwavering support. By evening, 3 major donors who had hesitated called to confirm their attendance at tomorrow's gala. News coverage shifts, no longer focused on reconciliation, but on the newly revealed legal history. I should feel victorious. Yet, as I watch everything unfold exactly as planned, I feel a strange hollowness instead. For nearly 30 years, I've carried the memory of that night, standing in the doorway with a pregnancy test in my hand, watching my life collapse, taking that long, uncertain bus ride to nowhere. For 28 years, I've been rebuilding, creating a business, a foundation, a life with my son, and now it comes to this, a public relations battle on the eve of our most important night of the year. My phone rings. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answer, Arabella Beaumont. The foundation gala should be quite the event tomorrow. My father's voice says smoothly, we've decided to attend. The floor seems to drop beneath me. You weren't invited, I reply. We're community members interested in supporting young mothers, he says, amusement in his tone. What kind of grandparents would we be if we didn't support such a worthy cause? I end the call without a word. When I turn, Everest and Nolan are watching me, concerned. They're coming to the gala, I say, my voice sounding distant, even to me. They've decided to crash it. Nolan's jaw tightens. Then we'll be ready. Everest moves closer, resting a hand on my shoulder. We knew this might happen, Mom. Everything's in place. I nod, the hollowness inside me solidifying into resolve. We'll go over everything again. No surprises tomorrow. We work late into the night, reviewing security protocols, briefing staff, preparing for every possible outcome. The gala venue sends updated floor plans. The catering manager confirms the Greys won't be seated at any foundation tables. Our legal team prepares the necessary documents, just in case. It's after midnight when Everest and I finally return home. We sit together in the kitchen, Agatha's kitchen, with its hand-painted tiles and copper pots hanging from the ceiling rack. This space, the heart of the home she built for us when no one else would. Remember what grandmother used to say about confrontations? Everest asks quietly. I smile despite everything. Never meet your opponent where they want to fight. Choose your own battlefield. Tomorrow, we fight on our terms, he says. He reaches across the table and takes my hand. Tomorrow, we show them what real family looks like. I squeeze his hand, feeling the surgeon's calluses that mirror my own baker's hands. Agatha would be proud of you. Of us, he corrects gently. She planned for this, Mom. She knew they might come back someday, and she made sure we'd be ready. I look around the kitchen where Agatha taught me to bake, where I cared for Everest through fevers, where we celebrated his medical school acceptance. This home, not ours by blood, but by choice. Get some rest, I tell him softly. Tomorrow will be the performance of our lives. After he goes upstairs, I sit alone in the quiet, touching Agatha's watch. Tomorrow, everything changes. Tomorrow I face the ghost of Caitlin Gray, and finally lay her to rest. Tomorrow, this ends. The next evening, I stand at the back entrance of the grand ballroom, watching 500 of Seattle's most influential citizens mingle beneath crystal chandeliers. The Agatha Beaumont Foundation Gala has always marked the pinnacle of our year's work. But tonight, it means something far more personal. My fingers find Agatha's watch. The clock's steady rhythm matches the quick pace of my heartbeat. Ready, Everest stands beside me, composed and striking in his tailored tuxedo, his surgeon's precision now focused on straightening his bow tie. "They're here," Nolan murmurs quietly, approaching from the lobby. Front entrance. Making quite the scene for the cameras. I nod, feeling unexpectedly calm. Everything is unfolding exactly as planned. 4 weeks of preparation led to this moment. 4 weeks of collecting evidence, refining statements, and coordinating with the foundation board. What started as a hospital ambush has now become a carefully controlled battleground of my design. "Mrs. Beaumont," a photographer calls, "could we get a picture of you with your son before his speech?" I smile, genuine warmth spreading through me as Everest wraps an arm around my shoulders. This connection is something Martin and Jocelyn could never comprehend. A bond built through sleepless nights, endless sacrifices, and years of persistence. A relationship they dismissed for $219. The ballroom hums with anticipation as the event coordinator signals a 5-minute warning before the program begins. Out of the corner of my eye, I catch a flash of platinum blonde hair, Jocelyn, charming the crowd with rehearsed ease. Martin stands beside her, greeting potential investors with deliberate precision. Their carefully orchestrated behavior betrays their real intentions. "I should go get ready," Everest says, giving my hand a firm squeeze. "See you on the other side." "Mom," I watch as he heads toward the stage, posture strong, confidence steady. Everything we've built together now faces its greatest test. The lights dim. A spotlight falls on the podium as the foundation director begins the introduction. Scanning the crowd, I find Martin and Jocelyn seated strategically near the front, exactly where the cameras can capture their every reaction. Tonight, we celebrate 25 years of the Agatha Beaumont Foundation, the director announces. And now, it's my honor to introduce Dr. Everest Beaumont, whose surgical innovations have saved 17 infants this year alone. Applause fills the room as Everest steps onto the stage, calm and assured. I stand taller, pride swelling in my chest. "Thank you all for continuing my grandmother's vision," he begins. "Agatha, Beaumont taught me that family isn't defined by bloodlines or documents." His gaze finds mine across the room, and I see the same 17-year-old boy who once asked why he didn't have grandparents like everyone else. "Family is presence, not pedigree," Everest continues. "It's who stands beside you when the world turns away, who builds you up when others try to tear you down." I notice Martin stiffen. Jocelyn's polished smile falters for a moment. "My mother taught me that lesson through her own life," Everest says. Abandoned as a pregnant teenager, she rebuilt her world piece by piece, sacrifice by sacrifice. The room falls silent. "Before we continue," he says, "I'd like to share something my grandmother recorded before her passing, something she knew might be needed one day." The massive screen behind him flickers to life. Agatha appears, regal in her favorite blue armchair, silver hair neatly pinned, her eyes sharp with resolve. "If you're watching this," she begins, her voice firm despite age, "it means Caitlin's biological parents have reappeared now that I'm gone." A wave of murmurs moves through the crowd. "To the people who gave her 10 minutes to disappear from their lives," Agatha says, leaning forward, "I give you 10 minutes to disappear from hers." The audience grows. "Still, the young woman you abandoned became Arabella. Beaumont, my daughter in every way that matters. She built a life you have no right to." "Reclaim." My eyes sting as tears blur my vision. Agatha's expression softens, then steadies. "I've prepared for this moment. Every document, every protection, every contingency. You will find no weakness in the fortress I've built around my family." The screen transitions to legal files, court orders, name change petitions, adult adoption records. My entire life, from 1996 to now, unfolds in highlighted detail. Nolan steps forward, voice clear and measured. "For the record," he announces, These documents verify the legal separation between Arabella Beaumont and her former identity. The adult adoption was finalized in 2000, fully terminating all parental rights. Martin's expression darkens as realization sinks in. This is no heartwarming reunion story for the cameras. It's a reckoning. Additionally, Nolan continues, pressing a button on his remote, we have recent communications revealing the true motive behind this sudden reappearance. The speakers crackle to life. A voice plays, unmistakable, even after all these years. Tyler Quinn. An 8% success fee is reasonable, he says calmly. I know how to approach them. Once we establish the family connection and get some press coverage, the foundation will open right up. A ripple of gasps spreads through the audience. One of the hospital board members turns, staring directly at Martin and Jocelyn, his expression tightening. Caitlin, Martin calls out, his voice steady despite the sweat forming on his brow. This is outrageous. We're your family. The room falls completely. Silent, every eye turns toward me. 29 years have led to this moment, Agatha's lessons about standing tall even when you're breaking. Inside, Everest's hand finds mine as I step forward. I walk slowly toward the microphone, feeling the weight of 500 gazes. Cameras pivot to follow my every move. That name died the night you left me on the street, I say. My voice clear and steady. I am Arabella Beaumont, Agatha's daughter and Everest's mother. The truth resonates through me, grounding me. You cast me out with $219. Now you want to claim what others built, what I built. Jocelyn steps forward, her composure cracking. We were wrong. We made a terrible mistake. Yes, I interrupt quietly, you did. And tonight, that mistake finally catches up to you. I nod toward the back of the room, where a court officer steps forward, papers in hand. Martin and Jocelyn Gray, she announces clearly. You are being served with a temporary restraining order prohibiting contact with Arabella Beaumont, Dr. Everest Beaumont, or any employee of the Agatha Beaumont Foundation or Blue Finch Bakery Enterprises. Cameras flash as the officer approaches. Martin's shoulders sag slightly, the first genuine emotion I've seen from him since their return. For a moment, his polished facade falters before he regains control and takes the papers with a trembling hand. This is a misunderstanding, he begins. But his voice lacks conviction. The foundation director steps forward. I believe it's best if you leave now. Mr. and Mrs. Gray. Two security guards appear beside them. Not aggressive, but unmistakably firm. The room watches in tense silence as Martin adjusts his tie one final time, clinging to appearances even in defeat. This isn't over, he mutters. But the words sound hollow. As they're escorted out, something shifts in the atmosphere. A single person begins to clap, then another, until the entire ballroom erupts in applause. I stand still, letting the sound wash over me. Years of quiet endurance now find their voice. Everest returns to my side, his arm steady around my shoulders. She's watching, he whispers, eyes bright. Grandmother is watching over you. Nolan approaches with a measured smile. 29 years of documentation just paid off. The foundation director restores order at the microphone. Mrs. Beaumont, would you like to address our guests? I step forward, feeling lighter than I have in years. The restraining order doesn't just protect me, it frees me from the lingering fear of their return. Tonight isn't just about continuing Agatha's legacy, I begin. It's about expanding it. I'm proud to announce that the Agatha Beaumont Fellowship for Young Mothers will double its capacity next year. Applause rises again. Louder. Warmer. Everyone deserves a second chance, I continue. Everyone deserves the opportunity to become who they're truly meant to be. As I look out over the crowd, faces filled with support, not judgment, I finally understand what Agatha was teaching me all those years ago. She didn't just give me shelter, she gave me the blueprint for building my own fortress. Brick by brick, relationship by relationship. The Grays could never destroy it because they never understood what made it strong. Not money, not status, but the unshakable foundation of chosen family. Behind me, the screen shows the foundation's new expansion plans. 18 rooms for young mothers and their children, on-site childcare, educational programs, a legacy rising from the ashes of abandonment into renewal. I lift my glass. To new beginnings. 500 voices echo the words back. The name they erased no longer matters. The name I built stands unshaken. 6 months after the gala, I stand by my office window overlooking downtown Seattle. The morning sun glints off the brass plaque beside my door. Arabella Beaumont, CEO. No hesitation. No echoes of Caitlin. On my desk, the Seattle Times business section lies open. Gray & Fox Holdings stock continues downward spiral, 28% loss since Beaumont Foundation Gala. But I feel no gloating. No vengeance, only quiet certainty. Justice doesn't always thunder in. Sometimes it arrives, quietly, in quarterly reports and SEC investigations. My phone vibrates, with a message from Everest Associate. Chief Resident announcement just posted. Dinner tonight to celebrate? I smile and text back, absolutely. Bring that Cabernet we've been saving. The transformation of the past few months still surprises me. I sleep through the night now, no longer waking at 3 a.m., wondering if Martin and Jocelyn might appear without warning. Decisions come easily, free from the constant doubt that once followed me. The board has approved our expansion plans for Bluefinch Bakery. Our 4th location breaks ground next month. Nolan knocks once before stepping in, legal folders in hand. Since taking the role as the foundation's permanent counsel, he's traded his suits for smart casual clothes, a small but meaningful sign of our growing trust. Tyler Quinn's bankruptcy fraud case is moving forward, he says, sitting across from me. The prosecutor found that contract promising him the 8% success fee for arranging your reunion. They're calling it proof of financial conspiracy. And my parents? The question no longer catches in my throat. They're keeping their distance, he replies. The restraining order ensures they can't contact you, Everest, or approach any foundation property, I nod, remembering the stunned silence at the gala when security escorted them out. That night, the community chose sides, and donations to the foundation rose by 60% in the following weeks. I almost lost everything Agatha built, I say quietly, touching her watch on my wrist. But you didn't, Nolan reminds me. You protected it, just like she once protected you. The morning staff meeting flows with an ease that would have been unthinkable 6 months ago. I laugh, genuinely, when our marketing director suggests Bluefinch cookies as holiday gifts. The tightness that once lived between my shoulders has melted away, replaced by calm assurance. The Beaumont house renovations are complete, I tell the team. All 18 rooms ready for occupancy. Our first 6 young mothers move in next month. Heads nod around the table. This new extension of Agatha's mission, providing temporary housing for young single mothers as they finish school or job. Training feels right, the perfect continuation of her legacy. After the meeting, I drive to Seattle General for the hospital board lunch. The same building where Martin and Jocelyn once ambushed me now feels welcoming. Nurses greet me by name, Arabella. Always Arabella as I walk toward the administrative wing. The chief of surgery shakes my hand warmly. Your son's surgical residents admire him deeply. Mrs. Beaumont, that cardiac procedure he pioneered is now being taught at 3 other hospitals. He gets his dedication from his grandmother, I reply, no longer needing to defend our family story. Later that afternoon, I stroll through downtown, past the park where I once slept on a bench at 17, pregnant and alone. The memories have lost their sting. They're simply part of my history now, not wounds that reopen. Then I notice her, a young woman sitting on that same bench, a baby asleep in her arms, a small backpack at her side. Tears slide down her cheeks as she stares into the distance. Excuse me, I say, taking a seat beside her. Are you all right? She startles, quickly wiping her face. I'm fine. The defensiveness in her tone is familiar. I used it myself years ago. I was once where you are, I tell her, glancing at the infant. 17, pregnant, nowhere to go. Her eyes widen, suspicion mixing with hope. Everyone deserves a second chance to become who they're meant to be, I continue, hearing Agatha's voice echo through mine. The Agatha Beaumont Foundation offers a residence program, 18 rooms, on-site childcare, while you finish school or job training. I can't afford rent, she says softly. Chin lifting. The foundation covers it, I assure her, pulling a business card from my purse. 3 families are already housed, and 15 scholarships open each year. She takes the card, reading the name. Arabella Beaumont. CEO, her hands trembling slightly. Why would you help me? You don't even know me. Because 29 years ago, someone helped me when I sat right here, I answer. She told me my name didn't have to define my future. That evening, Everest, Nolan, and I sit around Agatha's dining table, wine glasses glowing in the candlelight. The house feels warm, filled with memories not just of Agatha, but of the life we've built since. To the new associate chief resident, Nolan says, raising his glass toward Everest. And to Bluefinch Bakery's expansion, Everest replies. To family, I add, the one we choose, and the one that stays. Later, after they've gone to bed, I walk into Agatha's study. I run my fingers along the spines of her books. Moonlight catches a framed photo. 17-year-old me holding newborn Everest. Agatha's arm around us both. When I changed my name, I whispered to her memory, I didn't just change what people called me, I claimed who I was meant to be. Outside, the city lights shimmer like quiet promises. On my desk sit the Beaumont Foundation scholarship applications, 15 new opportunities for young women to redefine their futures. Tomorrow I'll review them, continuing what Agatha began. But tonight I stand in the stillness of this house, feeling the weight of both names, Caitlin Gray, the girl who was lost, and Arabella Beaumont, the woman she became. Both live within me now. Neither defines me completely. I am who I choose to be, and for the first time, that is enough.